Joan Rivers said that Michelle Obama was a man before she.
Was that a joke? I thought it was a joke.
I thought it was a joke too, but the way she said it wasn't like jokey. She was like, oh, come on, everybody knows Michelle Obama's the man. Like, remember that?
Yeah, like, would Big Mike kill you for that?
Well, I think she died because she had 1,000 plastic surgeries.
This is Michelle Obama going after Donald Trump in such a low blow fashion. By the way, Michelle Obama, weren't you the one that says when they go low, we go high? Where's that Michelle Obama exactly? She went very, very low. So did Barack Obama. Where's the we're not going to go to their level? Oh, Michelle Obama lying and deceiving, going after Donald Trump, saying something he didn't say. When Donald Trump was talking about black unemployment, saying he might be searching for one of those black jobs.
Michelle Obama built a billion-dollar brand off being relatable, but Joe Rogan and Charlie Kirk just ripped the mask off the performance. From luxury mansions to motivational mantras, she has been selling struggle and designer packaging, and they are not buying it. This is not inspiration. It is a Netflix-sponsored ego trip wrapped in buzzwords. Get ready as Rogan and Kirk. Hilariously torch the myth, mock the contradictions, and expose the empire built on curated vulnerability. The roast is real, and it is long overdue.
Where he was saying that Michelle Obama should run for president. If she won, she could pull her out and China would just give up. I was wheezing. I couldn't breathe. Big Mike.
Big Mike.
Michelle Obama says, until recently, I've mourned the dimming of that hope. And maybe you've experienced the same feelings. Is that a pit in my stomach? A palpable sense of dread about the future? Now, look, Michelle Obama has well-documented anxiety problems. And it's very interesting. When they are not in control of political power, they get anxiety. And being at the DNC, this for them is church. For them, this was a religious experience.
Michelle Obama walks into every room like she is still the headliner, even though the stage has long since been dismantled. She spent more time on talk shows, podcasts, and documentaries, trying to convince people she is relatable than most actors. Spend memorizing lines, and here comes Joe Rogan and Charlie Kirk, armed with the truth, sarcasm, and enough irony to power a solar grid ready to peel back the curated layers of America's most misunderstood motivational speaker.
No, we know. It's very obvious to us that you were not smart enough to be able to get it on your own. I couldn't make it on my own, so I needed to take opportunities from someone more deserving. You know, this is how arrogant Joy Reid and Ketanji Brown Jackson and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson-Lee are. They're so narcissistic, they think this is...
Let us start with the career pivot from First Lady to full-time lifestyle influencer. Shell went from standing beside policy decisions to standing in front of book club shelves, talking about how hard it is to be fabulous because when you're a designer, wardrobe is struggling under the weight of your burden to remain inspirational. Someone has to step in and say it. This is not authenticity. It is a Netflix original wrapped in kale.
Joe Rogan is calling out Oprah and Michelle Obama for hypocritical speeches at the DNC. Watch.
She's up there talking about income inequality. Like, hey, lady.
Yeah, I know.
You're rich as like, how is that equal? And also, when Michelle Obama was saying, you know, I think she was saying her mother or grandmother was always suspicious of people who took more than they needed.
Yes.
Like, you are worth so much money.
Take more than they need. The Obamas.
Joe Rogan does not have to stretch far. He just holds up her brand new podcast like a lab specimen. I've got a former first lady whose idea of deep societal change now revolves around using Instagram captions as philosophy for someone who claims to detest attention. She is surprisingly good at chasing cameras down like they owe her lunch money.
It's expensive to live in the White House, as many people don't know. I mean, much is not covered. You're paying for every bit of food that you eat. You're not paying for housing and the staff in it, but everything, even travel. If you're not traveling with the president, if your kids are coming on a Bright Star, which is the First Lady's plane, we had to pay for their travel to be on the plane. It is an expensive proposition, and you're running for 2 years and not.
Kirk chimes in with the kind of sarcasm usually reserved for professors who assign homework over Christmas break. Wants to be seen as one of us, but cannot go 30 seconds without reminding people she is not just in a different tax bracket. She is on a different planet where grocery stores are still rumors and private chefs are considered essential staff.
Play cut 56.
For years, Donald Trump did everything in his power to try to make people fear us. See, his limited, narrow view of the world made him feel threatened by the existence of two hardworking, highly educated, successful people who happen to be black. I want to know, who's going to tell him that the job he's currently seeking might just be one of those black jobs?
That's all they have.
That is all they have, taunting one-liners. She has become the human version of a coffee table book, glossy, expensive, filled with inspiring quotes. No one reads and always on display but never opened. Rogan laughs because it is painfully clear Michelle is not trying to lead anymore. She is trying to influence. And not in the political sense. She is 2 hashtags away from launching her skincare line called Becoming Beautiful. Imagine giving speeches on poverty while charging $12,000 per seat for a virtual tour about inner growth. Kirk shakes his head. Michelle keeps trying to sell people a version of struggle that even actors would turn down for being too unrealistic, like talking about hard times while wearing pearls and filming from a $12 million Martha's Vineyard estate. There are soap operas with less dramatic contradictions. She insists she is just a regular girl from the South Side while living like a CEO of an international yacht club. Cannot sell humble beginnings. While flying private to lecture people on their carbon footprint, Rogan doubles down, pointing out the absurdity of trying to be relatable while being utterly insulated. When is the last time Michelle Obama waited in line at TSA or worried about student loans? She is more likely to see a unicorn than a checkout line.
In fact, if we would have said 3 weeks ago, Blake, if we would have said that Joy Reid and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee and Ketanji Brown Jackson were affirmative action picks, we would have been called the racist. But now they're coming out and they're saying it for us. They're coming out and they're saying, I'm only here because of affirmative.
Yeah, Kirk lays out the data because facts have no mercy every time. Michelle launches a new initiative. It is wrapped in velvet language, sprinkled with empathy glitter, but somehow always ends up making her richer, more famous, and more booked than a Taylor Swift concert. She is on every list, most admired, most powerful, most inspiring, yet for someone with so much supposed influence, she is suspiciously quiet when anything real needs to be said. She will throw her weight behind a salad recipe, but will not touch actual policy with a 10-foot selfie stick. Rogan laughs again. The podcast episodes where Michelle opens up are less vulnerable revelations and more pre-scripted story time from a brand manager. She has mastered the art of appearing deep while staying shallow enough to float in any social pool. And then there is the constant need for applause. She does not do events. She does coronations. She walks on stage like she just solved climate change by blinking, and somehow every interview becomes a therapy session, where she is the patient, the doctor, and the audience all at once.
One side note on Michelle Obama, can we just note how overrated she is? And like all the hype around Michelle Obama, oh, she's going to run for office. And she's just, I don't want to get into the aesthetics of all of it, but the presentation of her podcast.
Charlie Kirk tears into that persona with surgical precision. He does not buy the vulnerability, not when every hardship story is packaged with a matching blazer and a promotional tour, not when struggle is followed by sponsored by Audible. Michelle turned being first lady into a brand empire, books, documentaries, speaking tours. There's an entire merchandise line that screams empowerment, while charging $80 for a water bottle that probably leaks. She did not just leave the white house she franchised at. Rogan just cannot get over the contradiction. The woman who spent years insisting she wanted to stay out of politics now gives political shade like it is a competitive sport. She is like a referee who keeps accidentally stepping onto the field with a whistle, and opinions and the media, they eat it up. Michelle gives a mildly emotional soundbite, and it gets treated like the Gettysburg Address. Meanwhile, real thinkers are getting shadow banned for quoting historical facts. But sure, tell us again how you felt invisible once. At Princeton, Kirk rolls his eyes so hard you can hear it. Michelle uses her Ivy League degree like a backstage pass to every elite circle while pretending it is a burden. It is a TED Talk, masquerading as trauma.
I will not run for president.
Yeah, I heard you say I think Michelle should run.
She could win. She could win, I think. I think if she ran, she could win.
Do you ever run for office?
No.
I have to ask it.
No.
No kind of office.
No.
I don't think she wants that, though.
No,
I don't think
guess.
she wants that in her life.
Just
They dealt with over the 8 years when he was president.
Because I've got these two young people at home. Being the kids, the daughters of a president, just think about it. Not so easy.
That job for anybody that like really good at it.
yeah, I trust the person who doesn't want the job more than
Yeah.
the person who wants the job.
It's not something.
Her latest tour was supposed to be about unity. Instead, it sounded like a live audiobook of why you will never be as evolved as me. For someone who says we are all in this together, she sure spends a lot of time pointing out how different she is. From everyone else, Rogan points out the irony. Michelle speaks endlessly about self-love, confidence, and being true to yourself. But only if yourself fits a very specific brand of elite, approved, politically sanitized perfection. Anything else is labeled dangerous, backwards, or worse, uneducated. Charlie does not let that slide. Michelle has become the moral compass for people who only travel in echo chambers. She does not just give opinions. Every time Michelle talks about her childhood, you can almost hear the producers cue the soft piano music in the background. It is not storytelling, it is emotional product placement. Kirk finishes strong. Michelle Obama has become a mirror for everything she used to critique, out of touch, overly packaged, obsessed with narrative control, and permanently embedded in a system she claims to resist. She is not fighting the machine, she is running on it like a peloton. Michelle Obama used to be a symbol, now she is a brand, and brands do not speak truth. They market it in glossy, pre-approved bites wrapped in buzzwords delivered by PR reps and monetized 6 ways from Sunday.
Till recently, I have mourned the dimming of that hope. And maybe you've experienced the same feelings, that deep pit in my stomach, a palpable sense of dread about the future.
It's so dark. And now she's saying, now I have hope because of Kamala Harris. The apocalyptic undertones of the Democrat Party is dramatic.
Joe Rogan just leans back and grins, because there is nothing more entertaining than watching someone lecture the masses about being authentic while using for filters and a lighting crew to do it. And Michelle, she is not done, because there is still another tour, another book, another softly lit close-up where she stares off into the distance and talks about resilience while sipping tea on a $10,000 couch. Because just when you think Michelle has reached peak theatrical self-awareness, she uncorks another monologue about how hard it is to be seen while simultaneously being on the cover of every magazine that still sells at airports. Michelle walks in with a well-rehearsed speech about how stressful it was to live in a house with a full staff, Secret Service, and a rose garden, and suddenly she's being praised like she survived trench warfare. She did not survive a war, she survived red carpet fatigue. Charlie Kirk, ever the scalpel, slices through the noise with something sharper than 1,000 think pieces. Michelle's entire public persona is built on branding herself as exhausted, overextended, and burdened while being chauffeured between stages, sipping from branded tumblers and cashing checks fatter than congressional budgets. You cannot be both the underdog and the establishment in the same sentence unless you were writing a fairy tale.
A fairy tale.
I didn't even know Joe Rogan was a comedian.
You know, it's just good to see everybody having a good time. The country's almost back to normal before World War III. COVID was just so strange. We lost a lot of people during COVID, and most of them are still alive. Yeah. Before COVID, I would have told you that vaccines are the most important invention in human history. After COVID, I'm like, I don't think we went to the moon. I think Michelle Obama's got a dick. I think Pizzagate is real. I think there's direct.
And then there is the activism. The kind that arrives in perfectly lit Instagram videos with captions that sound like an intern Googled. Inspiring quotes for millennials. She does not fight for causes. She floats near them, drops a few buzzwords, then sells a t-shirt that donates 3% to a fund run by her cousin's nonprofit. This is not grassroots, it is AstroTurf with a merchandising department. Joe Rogan laughs again, because Michelle's version of breaking barriers now involves repackaging generic empowerment speeches and reading them like they are sacred scrolls. Charlie points out the quiet hypocrisy. She speaks endlessly about being a voice for the voiceless, yet she only speaks up when the crowd is already clapping. She does not take risks. She times her statements like a stockbroker watching market trends. It is all optics, no spine, no grit, just perfectly calculated timing wrapped in feigned humility. And do not forget the ever-expanding lifestyle content, the cookbooks. The fitness routines, the meal prep ideas that require ingredients found only in European spice markets. She is pitching self-care like it is a national security measure. It is not advice, it is elitism dressed in athleisure. Rogan cannot stop grinning. At the irony.
Black woman is not enough complaining. She said that like a couple weeks ago. I mean, like it just, I'll put that aside. And people can, that's definitely the problem in the black community, right? Not enough complaining. But anyway, to her
she's doing more than her fair share.
Oh yes, no, she's at her complaining quotient. But I guess she's talking about abortion there as if like, women's health. But let me just be clear. Not a single Trump voting male in the world is ever going to be won over by complaining Michelle Obama. Just
the woman who claimed to avoid politics like it was toxic waste now casually throws shade from the sidelines with the smug confidence of someone who knows the media will clean up after her. She does not engage in debate. She drops vague criticisms, like breadcrumbs, then retreats before anyone can ask a follow-up question. Charlie compares it to a queen in a palace whispering to peasants through stained glass. You should all rise up, just do not expect me to be in the crowd. Michelle is not leading a movement. She is curating a lifestyle brand with motivational overtones and a built-in exit strategy. And still the applause rolls in. It is a magic trick. That relies entirely on audience suspension of disbelief. Joe and Charlie do not hate the hustle, they just wish she would admit it as a hustle. Stop acting like you are a reluctant icon, and just say what everyone knows: this is a career, not a calling. It is a one-woman media empire wrapped in emotional lighting and self-importance, and it is still not over.